This is Ernest Johnson, come back at you today, lastdaysministry.us, with a wicked government from hell. Federal government and national debt are fraudulent. All Americans must come to understand that when the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the privately owned Federal Reserve Bank, was given authority to print Federal Reserve notes, instead, the Treasury notes as directed by the U.S. Constitution, these Federal Reserve notes were not printed to be given out to the economy anyway as the Treasury notes of the Treasury Department. Rather, they were loaned to the U.S. government and they're circulating into society, and our society was required to pay back interest on the IRS notes, and that amount accumulated to the point of approximately $5 trillion just from the 1990s. The debt ceiling has risen astronomically since then. If everything in the United States were sold, 2/3 of the debt would still be owed. On the other hand, the Treasury Department has the potential for totally denouncing the Federal Reserve debt of these trillions of dollars because it was illegal in the first place. The Treasury Department in the U.S. Constitution is the only proper way of financing the nation. Congress, operating the Treasury Department, has the right to mint coin and print money and set the value thereof. In this light, the Federal Reserve was never given a right, even with the vote of Congress, because Congress did not have the right to regulate its obligations to the Federal Reserve. Therefore, the entire national debt of multi-trillions of dollars, because it was illegal in the first place, and therefore is not enforceable in a technical sense. Washington, D.C. is sham or a scam. Another factor is that because the U.S. government is situated in the District of Columbia, which is not part of the United States, even though it is in the country, and they are separate. According to Black's Law Dictionary, it is essentially a different nation entirely. It is a federal nation which rules the District of Columbia. It has no real jurisdiction over the rest of the United States in a technical sense. And to pass laws taxing another country, such as the United States, is technically and illegally in error. So again, technically, the good citizens of the United States are taxed by a foreign country. Now you tell me what's wrong with this picture. If we look at it from a legal and technical standpoint, we can see that this is a government sham, fraud, and unreal illusion. This is what I call a government black magic alien style. Therefore, in the creation of the United States, with the capital situated in the District of Columbia, which was not a state, but was an heir of the Founding Fathers, occurred. But this heir has had benefits for the super-rich Rothschilds, in that it has allowed them to break the rules of the Constitution without fear of being charged for treason, because these crooks are not operating within the United States. They are operating from a foreign country, and more than likely from the London Underground. Once the Federal Reserve was created, people of the government needing money would only borrow from the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank only had to go to the Treasury Department and get the money, printed the money at printing cost, and then loaned the money out at full face value, thus making enormous profits and putting this great nation into enormous debt, insurmountable debt. This is crooked, to say the least. So the national debt, I would say, is illusion, unreal. This debt is also known as the national debt, and we are trillions of dollars in the red. And this is simply the result of borrowing from the Federal Reserve Bank, the money the Treasury Department prints for them.